just some quick review and kind of overview of an introduction to our visualization tools here. We're going to start with just some basic matplotlib, then we'll look at a little bit of Seaborn. Also, we want to talk about NumPy and using NumPy to look at images, because when we get to images, we're going to have to understand our images as array objects. So we might as well get a little experience with how digital images are represented and also working with them with both NumPy and matplotlib as well. So to get started, let's bring in our libraries. Remember that our matplotlib, we import matplotlib pyplot as PLT. We've got our NumPy. We want pandas. And we are also going to use Seaborn. So to get started, let's just make a little fake data set. So I'll use create a data frame. And we'll use NumPy to generate some random numbers. Okay, and then we can go ahead and make a plot of it. And remember, like, that we can just plt.plot and whatever we want on the x-axis. So let's plot our x on x, and we can plot our y on y. And there we go. Now, this plot looks a little bit crazy. You know, maybe we don't want, by default, what we get is a line plot, and it joins all of our points with lines. So if we want to change that, what we can do is we can use the arguments inside of the function. So there's a number of things that we can control. We can add a title, we can add labels, we can change the kind of lines that are drawn or markers that are used. So let's do a few of those things. Let's add to that plot, and we're going to plot our x against our y. But we'll change the marker to be an O. And see what that does. Just makes points. And let's add, and then if we want to add labels and do other things to the plot, we can do it in the same cell. So we'll add an X label with plt.xlabel. Call that X data. plt.y label puts a label on the y-axis. And title puts a title on the plot. Okay, a lot of times this text guy will be here. You can suppress that with a semicolon. And yeah, also, you know, there are things you can control about the title. You can control the font size. You can control the location. And so this is, again, the default plot is going to be expect an X and a Y. It's going to be a two-variable plot for plt.plot. And again, by default, not only is it a two-variable plot, but it's going to be a two-variable line plot. So we can change things about that, or we can use, there are some specific, more specific functions to plot things with than just plt.plot. So for example, we could make a bar plot, and this will take some locations on the x-axis, and then we'll give it heights of bars as well. Okay, there's just a little basic bar plot. All right, normally what we would have is we would have on the x-axis, these would represent some sort of category, and then the height of the bar is the count of observations in that category. It's usually where we'll see these bar plots used. And also we could, matplotlib has a nice histogram, and that shows the distribution of some variable. So here, this is the distribution of our variable x from our data. Okay, and again, there are a lot of things that we can control about this. We can control the color. Let's make the edge color black. We'll make the color gray. Alpha is an argument that controls the transparency, so it's going to be very light. All right, we can add a title. A nice histogram. And there we go. So pretty straightforward. Just through some practice, you'll get used to what different arguments do. But of course, you can always look for at the help within these. For example, if we want to look at the help for the histogram, bring up the help, and you see that we can change the number of bins that it bins our data into, whether or not it's going to give the heights as percents. It's what density controls, whether or not it wants it to be cumulative, all sorts of different things that you can control about those arguments, and more information again about them comes down here. All right, so that's just kind of a brief overview and introduction to plotting with matplotlib. That's our first option.